Hello. I have been learning about the proper original pronunciation of the Hebrew alphabet. It's interesting to me when I'm reading the Torah to correctly pronounce, when I'm saying my prayers to correctly pronounce. And one excuse not to is that all of Israel may say it another way, but in another way, what if all of Israel did want to correctly pronounce, and it just takes a few people to make that leap? For me, it'd be easier because I wasn't raised speaking it a certain way. I've only been learning it for a few years. So it's going to be less difficult for me to make that change. I'm not yet a fluent speaker. So I've been kind of rewinding a little bit, starting over and learning the correct pronunciation. And in learning this, there are up to 8 letters that have a double sound. And this was really interesting to me, even if it is not an actual spiritual meaning of why this happened. It could at least be a memory thing to help you remember these letters. It reminds me of the sevenfold church in Revelation, and how there's also an eighth who is of the seven. So there's like this competing Antichrist versus Messiah within the sevenfold church. And so we have these Bagad Kafat letters, which there's 6, and that number represents humanity. And then hidden within this, if instead of you're going with Bagad Kafat, you're talking about the 8 letters that have a double sound, then hidden within that 6, there's the shin and the resh. So this guy, if you see down here, the gaz ke part, if you do the hard sound, begad ke part, begad ke part. I'm getting better at it. But anyway, this shows you that this resh is included in the begad kafat. Begad kefrat. So then we just need to throw the shin in there as letters that have a double sound. Now, the thing that makes it a Bagad Kafat is that when you have the dot in the center, it means you give it a harder sound, or in the case with the Resh, you just hold it out a little longer. Now, the shin is the opposite. So the shin is most commonly seen with the dot on the right. But when the dot is on the left, instead of a harder sound, it's a softer, more subtle sound. So this was reminding me of the serpent, because in this video here, it was saying for the sin, instead of saying sin as a normal S sound in English, like the Samic, there would be a difference, according to this one, where you instead do s. So it's like the same part of the mouth, s and s, s. So more of a hissing, prolonged hissing sound of the serpent. So it's very subtle. And the pictograph of this could be breasts, it could be cutting like teeth, could be like the shape of Jerusalem. So it's like representing cutting, like for fertility, you're giving birth, the head is cutting forth. Things like that would be the pictograph. So if you go back to this, how do we get to the house? The bait is a house. That was the original pictograph, and base is a house. So base is preceded by the humility, like a camel that is loaded with riches that kneels down, or a foot that's the lowest part. So in order for God to get to earth, so all of creation is like his dwelling place, but he dwells in the highest heaven. In order for him to come down, this is preceded by a door. He needs a door. And this is preceded by a covering. Covering would be like someone like the high priest is a covering for the people, which is preceded by a pay. The pay is a mouth. Or like the word is what we could be picturing, but it needs a mouthpiece. Even in Revelation, it was saying that the great dragon was given a mouthpiece. So something that is spiritual, in order for it to communicate, it needs a mouthpiece. And this is preceded by, if we're instead of ignore that this is Begad Kafat letters, pretend it says the double sounding letters, would be preceded by a resh, which is a head. So the mouth is preceded by mankind, a head. This could remind us of the king of Messiah. And this is preceded by cutting, or by the serpent, or by fertility. So like we think of the El Shaddai, to me that connects me with the Holy Spirit, but that could just be me. So we have these two hidden ones. It's like they're competing in the constellations. There's the serpent that's reaching for the crown, and there is like the victor, I think it was Orion or someone, they're both reaching for the crown. So these are like the two hidden letters within this list of 6, because you don't typically see this resh being mentioned. It's very rare in Tanakh. And then we have this is preceded, the cutting, like the giving birth in order to burst through, is preceded by the mark. And something that would be examples of mark is like the Sabbath, circumcision. That's kind of where it began for Abraham. So it's like darkness came first, the shin, and then we have light. So in order to have the head, to have humanity, Adam, you first needed this darkness, this alteration. God is not darkness, and yet darkness exists. So like other things to get into, but this could be a meaning that kind of comes from this. In order, how do we get to like the household, the dwelling place, the temple of God? This is like where the pathway. And so just to also prepare now, because I want to slow down, read the first parashah, which is the first chapter of Genesis, including the 7th day on the 2nd chapter, really slowly, sounding out each syllable, each word, each phrase, each verse. And I mean, I'm working on getting more fluent on it, so I wanted to kind of like share that as I'm progressing. You might learn from someone who's progressing better, because it's still all fresh in my mind, the memory keys of how I'm doing this. So for Aleph, it's silent, but as soon as you put a vowel sound with it, like Aleph, it's like a guttural stop. Aleph, Aleph. It's very like short there at the beginning. Aleph. No extra g, like the it's very similar to this, which is also said to be silent, but this is the one that's more guttural, like gain, ayin. So this instead, like sometimes I'll accidentally say, make the same sound. I want to, because they both have a guttural stop. So this is like almost silent. It sounds differently if you're adding the vowel sounds to it. So ngayin, nga, nye, yo. So it's like a guttural stop is what it starts with, but o, o. And then the bait, easy, the vate, the vase, the gimel, they're not showing all of the ones here. I didn't find a good one. Is the one that has the dot in it. So begad, we got begad. They go in order. The begad kafat letters. So with a dot is easy, is this g, and then without the dot is h. like a GH, except a good thing that this guy was pointing out is none of the consonants are made of a combination of any of the consonants. So it wouldn't actually be like I don't think we have another one that is a G sound. So, but it wouldn't be like a combination like CH. So if there was something this is just a chimel. It's just a much softer G. So whatever is the hard sound, you make a softer sound. G, ch. Okay, so d, s. So it's not a combination of t and h. It's according to him, but that's kind of how it gets transliterated. So d and th. But we have another one that makes a th sound. So this is more of a d sounding th. So transliteration doesn't give you all the accuracy of it. D, th. So just soften your d, th. H, no double. This is w, and this is z. It kind of like starts like you're gonna make a d, but it's like a z sound. But the way I remember is there's like a door into Zion, so z. And heth, like you're blowing on a pair of glasses. Heth. It takes a little bit of force. So for the hey, it's like help from like deeper maybe, and the heth is coming up from higher in your throat. And this was from this video here. This video, it was really helpful to me. They just kind of break down all the necessities. So the h sound, they showed the red dot deeper in your throat, just like this easy breath. And this one takes a little more force. So the death, you're just moving your tongue back more in your mouth. So instead of a hard sound of the t, it's d. And y for yod, k for cough, and this is chaf. But he was pointing out in his video, it's like from the same part of the throat. You're not like a deep h like I used to think you had to say for this. It's not a deeper h. It's however you say k. Now just make it lighter. K, ch. So k, ch. It could have like some of that phlegm kind of stuff in there, but try to make it from the same part of the mouth is what I think he was saying. So it's just k, ch. L for lamed, m for mame, n for nun, s for samech. I have to like relearn these names because before you wouldn't differentiate if it ended in a ches, or if it ended in a chaf. Well, usually if it starts, it's going to have that hard sound. The hard sound appears if there's no vowel in front of it generally. So cough. And this smaller sound is usually if there's a vowel in front of it, if I remember right. So cough. So like this has a vowel in front of it underneath the meme. So samech. And ngayin is just from like deeper ngayin. And remember to do that guttural stop. Now, like he wasn't bringing out some of these things of the guttural stop, but I mean, I liked it from this other video. And he'll go over, like I listened to his playlist. So ngayin, and so if we're doing it with a vowel, yeah, nah, yeah, no, is the patak, comets, and holam. And so like those, you don't change the shape of your mouth. I'll try to go over the vowels at the end. A, E, O. A, E, O. Nga, E, O. Pe, Fe. Sadi. So it's not actually a TS. And this video kind of agreed, but it's like you're starting to make a T, but instead of it's like deeper back in your throat more, or your mouth more. And this video, I think it said draw it out more. So we have a S and we have a S, which we'll get to. And so Sadi is just a, from the same part that you do the Tao, you do a T. So you're really making a S sound, but because it's back more, it has more of a pronounced T. So T. And then I don't know what this cough so feet. They're just showing ending sounds here. So confusing. Sade. Okay, then they have arrows down here. Okay, this whole list here is the ending shape, which is not a new sound. So Sade then goes into the kof. Sadi. I'm like Sadi, because this dalet doesn't have a dagesh in it. All right, so we have kof, and for this it is helpful for me to think of like an Indian speaker from India, how they have their accent. So kof, ko, ke. Maybe I'm exaggerating or something, but that's how it helped me be able to make that sound. Ko, ke, kof. Resh, and then with the dagesh, he said just hold it out a little longer. And he said that was probably in places of the word where you would tend to not say it naturally because you have to really enunciate in order to say it. So the dagesh might be put there in order to make you not forget it. And that's kind of like with Messiah, how he kind of becomes hidden or something, like misunderstood. So you have to be careful to enunciate. Sh, shin, and sin instead of just s or t. And then we have tav and thav. Okay, so that concludes my progress of what I'm learning. So be nice if anyone else wants to learn with me. It's as accurate as I can remember. I'm not like the native speaker, so my own accent might still need to be corrected, but that's something that I'm working on. Bonus side note on the sin, the difference is very subtle, and so it's a mimicker, but if you listen carefully, there's just that subtle difference. If that's true, that there's a s and a s. So that also would be another confirmation or just memory key that it's tied in with the serpent. So there's really only 7, but there's like this competing 8th that wants to get in there to complete the humanity, to complete the 6th, to be that perfection. Also, those 2 letters, the sin and the resh, take us back to the Garden of Eden with the subtlety of the s, if you're supposed to hiss like that, versus the resh when we know it represents a head. So the one will bruise the heel, but the other one will crush the head of the serpent. So you definitely see those 2 competing factors. And I also should quickly clarify that when I was comparing the shape of the shin, talking about the sin, to the El Shaddai, the El Shaddai is a shin, so it should have that dot on the right side and not the subtle sound. So they both have the same shape though. So the serpent, like in Gnosticism, some forms of Gnosticism, they would say that that the serpent was like the god and the female. So it's supposed to be a shin for the El Shaddai, and then when you change it to this, then you get that subtle serpent sound that's trying to replace. And then so if the shin did represent the Holy Spirit, this is like also in Messiah, the head. So this is like one spirit. They kind of are just, they're just one. They're not like separate, differentiating who's better and one's apart from the other. They're just one. So together they make the seventh. And then there are the vowels. This is how I learned them, that they were long and short, which wasn't making sense to me, because then there's also like the cantillations that tell you where to put the accent. Like these, like this would lengthen it, and then if there was a line down here, you should be able to see the marker. That would mean to hold it out. So this is a shorter sound, shorter sound, shorter sound. And then if there was a line here, it'd be a longer sound. And so how I was taught is that these are 3 different lengths. So he's teaching that that's incorrect. We have, without changing the shape of your mouth, we have this one, and this one, the holum. So we have ah, ah, oh. Ah, as in father. Ah, ah. It's like a O sound. So this is also confusing when it tries to turn it into an A class, E class, I class, O class, and U class. It's almost like like this A class. It all comes from, like for us, A would be synonymous with Aleph. So Aleph is like the ram, the strength, which is God. So it's like when it comes down to it, most of these, maybe it's just how I remember it, most of these are actually some form of A. And in English, we actually have that preserved. So he's saying this one, the segol, is actually like A as an apple. So here, but we'll just do these 3, is just A, O, without changing the shape of your mouth. Like in English, we say O, we change the shape of our mouth. It's A, O, A, O, A, O, A, O, A, O, A, A, A. So it's like A as an apple, but it has a bit of a S sound. A, 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 A. So to me, all of these are like sounds of A. A makes, and then if you think of O as like a higher sound, they're all like coming from that. But this, there wasn't a connection, just E. We know how to sound E, like the letter E, the long sound, and oo. Both of these making a oo. And I was taught that this is a shorter oo and this is a longer oo. That would make sense because the oo is supposed to, when written fully, have that vav. So the vav, or the wow, or the yod, is kind of extending the vowel. So that would make sense for it to be like a more held out sound. What I mean when I say longer is more held out. All right, so now it should be covered. Thanks for watching.